And in that vein, I just wanted to make some really clear, crisp points around what we are together and what we're not going to be. So first of all, we're an initiative, not a program, an initiative. And that will become clear, I'm hoping, in the next few weeks as to what the differences are. I'm more than happy to discuss that more with you. We are going to be a partner to empower you to do the good work. We do have a lot of opportunities, experiences, insights, and expertise that can add value, but effectively you are driving the improvement journeys in your school communities. You are responsible leaders in your school communities, and we are here to add value to ensure that you get where you want to go and get there as efficiently and as effectively as possible, because your mission and goal to impact the learning of students is critical. Not only critical to your community, but critical to our country, critical to our global well-being and future survival. So without wanting to over dramatize that responsibility, it's super important the work that you do every single day. And we are here to invest in that work in a way that adds value. We also want to be champions of your work. We know that there are fabulous examples of best practice happening all over the country. The problem we have is that a lot of that good practice is trapped, or is not being shared, or not being tested for its robust and rigorous practical outputs. So what we want to be able to do is to help you not only grow your work, but to get really clear about why it's good and then share it with others so that we actually create value for more schools across more systems in Australia. So in that vein, we're not a bolt-on program. We don't want to be, oh no, SVA is coming, we have to do that piece for SVA. That's not how we operate. We want to be a partner that actually brings value to your existing work with rigor. We don't want you to think this is a transactional relationship. You have to do X because we've paid Y or whatever. This is a bit more like a marriage. Sorry to use that analogy. There's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of good, strong communication required. And there's certainly a big commitment in terms of ensuring that we're on the same page and that we're both bringing value to what it is that we're achieving together. And if it's not working, we need to be honest enough with each other to share that. We also want to ensure that this is designed, that this opportunity is designed not to get in the way of your good work or increase your workload. It's really, really critical that this is core to your everyday work. And we'll talk more about how we'll manage that together. So ultimately, your success is our shared goal. And then our shared success is actually for everyone. So think of it in those simple terms. We want you to be successful. That's our number one priority. But then we know when you're successful and then you start sharing that success, we can actually create more success for everyone across systems. So on that note, I'm going to ask you to take a little bit of a risk with me. Now, you'll have to forgive me. Remember, I worked in the US for a few years, so I've got some of those old hang-up sort of rah, rah, rah type facilitating habits. So my apologies in advance. You'll get to know that. We used to do a thing called the Fist of Five when I was working in the US with some big teams, and we've translated that into the Australian context. And I'm going to ask you to put on your gallery view if you can, so you can see most people or more people. And it works like this. Every individual has 4 fingers and a thumb. We call it a fist of 5. So we do a quick culture pulse check-in to see where you're sitting right now. If you're warm and vertical and, you know, here in the room, but not much more, you're a 1. If you're absolutely roaring to go, ready to change the world, probably had 20 cups of coffee this morning and are absolutely pumped, you're 5. Now, think for a moment, where do you sit? 1 to 5. And then on your hand, your fist of 5, show us where you sit in terms of your energy. And there's no right or wrong answer. No one's going to get judged. We're all going to do this together. So when I say 3, I want you to all show your rating on your hand as a fist of 5. You ready to go? 1, 2, 3. Oh, pretty good. We've got some 4s, lots of 4s actually from where I'm sitting. What can you see, Erin? Yep, cool. It's a nice little pulse check in terms of where everyone's sitting, and it's a good one to understand where the room that you're trying to speak to is feeling in terms of their engagement. So you might be able to use that with your staff if that's useful. I'm going to pass over to Erin now, who's going to take us on the next step of the journey.
Thanks, Sue. As Sue said, you know, a lot of the purpose of today is just to help you understand who's in the room with you, who's in the network with you as we move forward with this regional rural and remote cohort, which I'm super excited about. So just to start with who's kind of not in the room. So the connection network, and you might have heard this from Sue or I before, we've worked over the past what's now 6 years with over 50 schools, and as you can see, that spreads from Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia. So they're not here today joining us on the call. This is what we refer to as our alumni schools, but as Sue said, Nick's still working really closely, and Sue and I and the rest of the team with those alumni schools, and we look forward to the opportunity to share their learnings with you and you share your learnings with them, and bring you together, which will happen mainly through the thought leadership gatherings. But in the room here today, we have the schools that are part of the regional rural and remote cohort, and they sit at the moment in New South Wales and in South Australia. And I deliberately say at the moment because we're working away in the background in conversations with schools in Tasmania, and possibly hopefully starting some conversations with the Northern Territory and Western Australia soon. So we are looking to continue to grow this network, and really keen to hear if you've got any contacts or any schools that you know are interested as well. So from New South Wales, we've got, maybe if you want to give me a wave while we'll read the schools out, you can read them, but we've got Kutchigong Valley Public School, Michelle down there, and Sandra. Gulgong, I've seen somewhere on my screen. There they are. You can see.
Can we get them to shout out, Erin?
Yeah.
So we
take
can see
yourselves off mute and give us a whoop.
Hey guys, Dave Lewis and Sarah Price from Gulgong Public School here.
Awesome.
Hi. Michelle, do you want to go back to you? Sorry, I didn't give you your off mute opportunity.
That's all right. So Michelle, Sandra and Will's just come in to join us, Kutchigong Valley in Mudgee.
Awesome.
And we've got a third Mudgee school. Sorry, Gulgong's close to Mudgee, but not quite. We've got a third school in that area, which is Mudgee Public School, and John and the team are over there.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, John, Liesl and Donna from Mudgee Public School.
Awesome to see you.
And then on the coast, we've got Barrack Heights Public School.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm flying solo at the moment. Sky will be joining us shortly.
Excellent. Great to see you.
And then our South Australian schools are working under a slightly different model, and I just sort of wanted to share that with you. We've got schools working as small clusters, so most of our schools from South Australia are really small schools, and they're working together as a team. So we've got the Mount Gambier cluster, and I know there's some of you here. So Gordon Education Centre, is that Lisa? Oh no, yeah, Lisa. Mount Gambier North Primary.
Say hello, don't be shy.
Hello, that's me, Mount Gambier North.
Hi, Paul. Nice. And I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Where's she got? Is it Padathaway?
Padthaway.
Padthaway.
Yeah, that's me, Corinne. How are you going?
Hi,
Great to see
Corinne.
you.
Who's with you, Corinne?
We've also got our education director, Adam Box, here.
Hey, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
G'day.
Awesome. Hi, Adam. Nice to see you. And then we have schools from Kadina cluster, and they're working with the education director, Joanne. Do you want to say good day, Joanne? Put her on the spot.
everyone.
Joanne. And a Drossen area school.
Morning.
Hi there.
Hi there. Central York.
Hi, everyone.
We've got Grant and Yorktown area school, I think.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Michael from Yorktown.
Good morning, Michael.
Brilliant. We'll be seeing you guys next week, I understand.
Brilliant.
Forward to it.
Yes, you will.
And then in the Port Lincoln cluster, working with their education director, Tammy, who I think is on her phone.
Hi, how going, everyone?
Hi, Tammy. Do we have Port Neal Primary School? Maybe not this morning. Ungara?
Hi, from Angara.
Hi, Carl. Nice to meet you. Tumby Bay Area School?
Yeah, hi from sunny Tumby Bay.
Looking forward to it, Nikki. Definitely looking forward to it if it's sunny in Tumby Bay. And Cowell Area School as well.
Hi, I'm Yana.
Hi, Yana. And the final cluster of schools working together are from Whyalla, and they're working with Carol Williams. Do you want to say hi, Carol? She's on mute, but hi. Fisk Street Primary School.
Hello, everyone. Beside me, I've got Amber, so she's our senior leader.
Right. Hi, Anna and Amber. Hicks Avenue. Not this morning. And there was a couple of people who said they had other things on this morning. And Whyalla Stewart, R7 campus.
Hi, everybody.
Linda with her jazzy background. To get to know each other a little bit further, we're just going to start with a little bit of speed dating, getting to know you. So I'm going to whip you off in a second, or Sophie is by the magic of Zoom, into a breakout room with another couple of people. Just 2 minutes, introduce yourself, tell your people in your room something about yourself or your school or what you ate for breakfast or anything really informal, just first introductions. And we'll do 2 rounds. You'll have about 2 minutes in each room before we come back together. Thumbs up, that makes sense? Ready to go? Awesome, good to go, Sophie. Thank you.
You're not joining, that's fine. I can't hear you.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how you going? Hi, Yana.
Hi, Sammy.
How are you?
I'm well.
I just got kicked out of one group I got kicked out of one group halfway through a conversation, so I think I might have done it though. How you going?
Sorry, excuse me. I've got a tickle in my throat today.
It's okay.
And hello, Michelle, and hello, Sophie.
Hi, you've been
And
brought back
Michael.
to the central room. This isn't your second breakout yet. Everyone will come back in a second.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
And then I'll pop you out again.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
That's all right.
Excited.
No, talking is good.
It goes fast 2 minutes, right?
Way too fast.
Sorry, Sophie.
I thought I kicked myself out, Sophie, but good to know. I was halfway through a sentence. And
No, all
I was
good.
like, okay, bye.
It's brutal, Tammy, this
I know.
connection.
You want to have controlled agendas in staff meetings? Use Zoom, trust me.
Okay, should we go again?
Sounds good.
Thanks, Soph.
Yeah.
Did we lose anyone, Soph?
Nah, this should be everybody.
Cool. Wonderful. I've just started sharing my screen again, Sue, so I'll hand back to you.
Thank you. So we're going to just share a few more details around the actual partnership that we're proposing. All of the work that we do with you is invitational in the sense that we want dialogue and conversation around what you need to ensure that we're delivering what it is that you need from us. So in that basis, I want to share just a snapshot of the baseline offering. The baseline offering meaning the things that will be consistent. So through our prototyping, that is the work we've done over the last 5-6 years now, actually, with COVID thrown in, we have developed this in consultation with the profession and with our stakeholder state departments. And what we find that through being intentional about some core baseline offerings, there's some clarity around where the opportunities could and will be. So let me just start quickly. There's engagement visits, which you'll hear more about, and we're starting some of those in the next few weeks. They are individualised, personalised, and into the school communities. There are hub days. They're the opportunities where you get to collaborate with people around a theme, your colleagues around a theme from other schools, or within state groups, depending on how your engagement has been negotiated. And then we have our thought leadership gatherings, which are the very big multifaceted couple of day gatherings. They'll be online and in person. There'll be a hybrid version where we provoke you and we push you and we stretch you with new cutting edge thinking from around the globe, from outside of the traditional space of education, our university partners, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that is complemented with the opportunity to grow new partnerships, not only with each other, but with other contributing partners. It could be industry partners, it could be university partners, it could be a range of different opportunities. We absolutely pride ourselves on the fact that we align to systems priorities. As I emphasised earlier, this is not bolt-on, this is not additional, this is core work. Again, your success is our primary goal. On top of that, there's the opportunity to connect internationally with partners doing similar work in schools and systems internationally, including the potential to visit some of those places. We have a strong relationship with the group in the UK who are connected to research schools, for example. And we spent a week, some of our alumni schools, sitting in their community in north of London, in Doncaster, learning about their research and practice. And there's a whole range of other activities which I won't go into. All of these things coalesce to become a bespoke, if you like, tailored offering to your cluster of schools or the school itself, depending on how you interact. But the point being that you need to be clear on what it is you want, where you want to go, and we can help bolster that journey with these additional resources and opportunities. We don't have the answers. I want to really stress that. We have access to the opportunities and resources that we anticipate will help you be more efficient and more impactful in your journey. All of this creates really deep professional learning, really strengthens your understanding of what good research and evidence looks like and what good evaluation of progress looks like. And one of the really big takeaways from our work and evaluation so far is the value of looking beyond your school community and outwards into your state, but then also from your state into other states to see what else is happening, to get affirmation of what good stuff you're already doing, but on another level, also stretching your thinking about new opportunities and new practices that you may consider. Thanks, Erin. So in all of this, it's a partnership, and in a partnership, you provide something and we provide something. I've talked a little bit about what we're providing, but what do you bring to the table? Never underestimate how much expertise you have, how much knowledge you have. Your energy and your enthusiasm to grow and learn and to continue growing and learning is critical in this journey. I know from sitting in schools for 25 years effectively that sometimes it's really easy to just get caught in the moment in your community, in your school, and then not see the forest for the trees, so to speak, in that you actually have a lot of expertise. So part of this journey is about affirmation, as well as growing new skills and new insights and new practices for better impact. There's also this piece around the action plan. So what we want to do is to sharpen your thinking with at least one core priority that you'll go really deep into. That's not to say we wouldn't support anything that you're doing, but we want to ensure that it's aligned to a core priority, and we have a way that it's a simple way of tracking your progress against that priority, which allows us to keep you honest by asking all the right questions when we come and see you and visit, etc. But also gives us an insight around where your strengths and expertise is and what your resources needs might be. You also provide via the system or via yourselves a financial contribution towards participating. We also leverage that and we fundraise philanthropically and from other sources to complement that. So you're paying part of the cost to participate, and there's more that we bring to the table through philanthropy on top of that again. So we really value what you bring to the table. This is a partnership, not a transaction. And then the impact journey itself. This is where you will take these resources and these opportunities, and you will track through a range of actions, I expect, that will lead you to the change and progress towards the change that you are very actively working on. I know that particularly if you look at when you're given time, our leaders in the past have always commented about being given the luxury of time to think strategically and really think thoughtfully about their next step actions has been really brilliant. And having thought partners to bounce off and to actually check in with is really important. I know as a leader sitting in a principal's chair, some days I was just really lucky to be warm and vertical because I never knew what was going to drop on my plate on any given day. The luxury to stop, think and reflect on strategy was sometimes just that, a luxury. And I thought it was more important to do the stuff that was coming over my desk first. So we want to help you quarantine a bit of time to ensure you're being strategic and thoughtful as you lead your teams forward. And we believe collaboration will help with that. Student and community engagement really helps to improve practice as well. So how it is you bring the student, the community, as well as your staff team on that journey with you is really, really important. And as I alluded to in the beginning, the leadership practices that you are generating and the actions you're generating and the evidence around what you're generating are going to allow you to become influencers with others and certainly model that and share that to pay it forward, if you like, into the system. So our whole goal, our primary mission and aim is to make you as successful, or not make you, to support you to be as successful as you can be. This is really super important. And it's super important because there's so much great work, again, that you're all doing. We can always do better. We can refine it. And given the opportunity to put all of the right ingredients in play and processes in play to get to that end, it's not even an end point, it's a journey, to progress that journey to get the impact you need, is the most important work that you're doing in your schools right now. And we want to be part of that journey and help you get there. Thanks, Erin. I'd encourage you to pop any questions that might come to mind at this point into the chat. If you feel comfortable, that would be great. There will be opportunities to interrogate some of this thinking, but this is just the starting point, and hopefully this helps you understand where we're at. Can I just do a quick check-in right now? Fist of 5, you ready? You know how it works, okay? So if you put on gallery view, you'll see more people. So let's do a 5. 1, 2, 3. Not too bad, not too bad. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Erin.
Brilliant. And I'm actually going to back over here because we now have the opportunity to hear directly from one of our superstar principals who has, I guess, championed and led the journey of her school. So we're joined by Natalie C. from Hilltop Road Public School in Western Sydney. And they've been on the journey with SVA for a few years now, both as a hub school from 2017 to 2019, and then as an actively engaged alumni school in 2020. And we're really pleased that Nat's been able to make some time when she's got new kindergarten kids joining the school today to join and to actually be able to give you from the horse's mouth perspective, so to speak, of what it's like on the ground for a principal and the actual journey that the school goes through. So with no further ado, handing over to you, Nat, to have a bit of a talk to the leaders about what the journey's been like for you. Thanks, Nat.
Thanks, Nick, and hi, everyone. That's quite an introduction, superstar and horse all in one intro. So not to worry. Just what I wanted to do is just talk you through some of our experience. We've been, like Nick said, a member of the Connection now for heading into our, I think it's 5th or 6th year, and it's been a valuable connection for us here at Hilltop. So just a bit of background. Maryland's in Western Sydney, about 790 students, just depends if those last 4 kindergarten students show up in the next half hour. And we have an experienced team here, and I've been here for quite a number of years. So just wanted to talk to you about and really bring to life that connection impact journey and about what this means. And I think this is a great time for you to be joining the Connection, especially when we're moving into our SIP and our school improvement plan, because the great opportunity here lies in the networking and the collaboration piece, which has such strength in supporting schools with the important work that they're doing. So just to take it back a couple of steps and just walk you through what I see as the key features and things that I think that you need to consider is around the fact that we looked in terms of our problem of practice a number of years ago around the articulation of learning and students' inability or ability to articulate their learning and know themselves as learners. So we embarked upon a project that we framed as the Triple T Time to Talk project. And we looked at how we could explore and unpack this problem of practice with the support of SVA and the Connection. We weren't sure where it was going to head, but we know that we have had great results as being part of this important network. So it really provided the opportunity for us to say, like, what's happening with our students, to look at our data, look at new ways of collecting evidence, and really looking at where our hunches are taking us and what we needed to do. The great thing about it was that we also had, just moving into that, the collaboration, which I think is going to be the key feature that you need to make sure that you harness and you really engage with to get the best out of the Connection. It provided us with the opportunity to not only look beyond our own network and the schools immediately around us, but it allowed us to look at the schools across states and global, interact with global leaders and also with community partnerships. So something that really hadn't taken place too much outside of us as schools, sometimes staying very insulated, working potentially within our community and our learning communities, but not looking outside of what was happening. So that was one of the great features. It allowed us to connect in and look at the Student Voice project within South Australia and the work around agency, and really tapped into us and helped us shape what we did and how we pivoted and worked around building this piece around student agency and articulation. So that was great and something that we valued. It also allowed us to unlock the potential in some of our neighbouring schools. We connected with Granville East around the work around accountable talk strategies, things that we hadn't been exposed to, but really built upon the work that we were doing. So if I can stress one thing, if you take one thing out of this little 5-minute discussion, it's around making sure that you build those connections and take the opportunity that's there for you. So we also were able to listen to people, global leaders like Charles Leadbetter, just amazing opportunities that hadn't ever come to us before, had been able to be enhanced through the journey. We've also some of the systems and practices in place around the engagement visits. It really, you know, and I'm going to be honest with you, there'll be times you think, oh no, here comes another engagement visit, you know, but it is a really good check-in point for us to be able to check in with the work and make sure that we're staying focused on what was happening. And they're valuable sessions as that critical friend kind of asking you, where are you up to, and keeping you on track. The thought leadership gatherings, great opportunities to build networks across states and with people, even in our own state that we don't get to see. And like was mentioned before, time to think, time to actually just be away from, you know, the broken toilet and the light that's flickering and the person that's waiting for you that didn't have an appointment, to actually stop and focus on the work and build time in for you. So at times you'll have that moment, you think, I can't do this, I can't go to another one of these things, but they allow you to have time with your team and build a team around this work, a team that is the core of the work that will be branching out and coming back as some advice that I'd also give you. Also access to, like, people will come to your school and visit and give you opportunities to reflect potentially. We had visitors come from London, we were able to talk to them. We've sent staff to New Zealand, which has now shaped the next work that we're doing around learning dispositions. So there's lots of opportunities. There's tools, program logic, the impact evaluation cycles, things that we hadn't come across that have really helped shape our work. It's had a huge impact on student learning, and I could go into that in more detail, but you can be rest assured that that's something that we have been able to check in on data. It's helped us look at new ways of collecting evidence and making decisions about where we pivot and where we work and the growth that we're seeing in our students. And then it also builds a collective group of people that are focused and have influence across the system and able to build on the connections with other systems and how we can build into their networks and harness their expertise. So that's a really, really quick walkthrough, but I could stress to you, you're in a good position in terms of the SIP and where you're headed, and the potential here is in with all the faces around this view, around the network, and the way that the connection can facilitate that. And Sue, Nick, Erin and the team can really enable you to do the work that you want to do and give you time to think about it. So that's my quick walkthrough.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
I don't know if that's in the time limit, but
that's brilliant. No, and now everyone has an exciting opportunity. Yeah, let's get some claps or use some of those reactions.
Claps not required, people. I understand how
jazz
tight
hands,
we are. There's so many
like jazz
things.
hands on Zoom.
Claps not required.
So, but more importantly, you're going to have an opportunity to ask a question. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a protocol that we call the hot seat protocol. We use this with our provocateurs when they speak at our thought leadership gatherings. So we're going to give you 4 minutes to generate 2 questions in a breakout. Now the pressure's on. We don't want you to let the team down and come up with no questions. So please make sure that you come up with 2 questions. You might have an SVA person jump in, but if not, please someone scribe the questions and pick a spokesperson. You're going to have a few minutes to generate those questions, maybe 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come back in and I will pick a couple of groups to put your question to Nat about the experience of Hilltop Road and anything that you want to know about the connection, which she may or may not be able to answer, but I reckon she pretty much knows it all by now. She's a resident expert. So Sophie's going to break you out and you'll be in those groups for, as I said, a couple of minutes, generating 2 questions and then coming back in. And we'll take note of which group you're in so that we can ask for the questions when we get to that point. Okay, so we're ready to go when you are, Soph. Here we go. See you in a minute.
Hi, Michelle. Do you want to jump into your room?
South Australian schools? I couldn't quite see.
Yeah, I think that they were. But I couldn't see where they were actually.
Yeah, so that lady.
Okay, welcome back. Have we got everyone safe, or we're still waiting on a couple, aren't we?
Still waiting on a few, yeah. They've got 25 seconds left.
Oh.
So they're booted out.
Okay, excellent. So look, this is a great opportunity to, ask those questions and to hear from one of our leaders. And there will certainly be lots of other opportunities like this as the year goes on. Like we were saying in the group that we were in, Dave was talking about how it's those coffee breakout times that are often your best interactions with other principals and leaders. And fingers crossed, COVID permitting, we'll have lots of those in person. But if not, we certainly facilitate lots of opportunities for people to have that crossover. And I think we've got the whole group back, which is excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to nominate a couple of groups. And if people are not sure which groups they're in, Soph, I don't know if you've got a record or something brilliant.
Yeah.
A nodding of heads. So we've got 4 groups. Now, so that it's not rigged because I was in one of them, Sophie, I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 4. Drum roll.
2.
2. Okay, group 2. Do you remember if you're in group 2?
That was the Kaji group. And
I presumed it was us.
and our South Australian colleagues too, but they were very friendly, so they were already a team.
So your top question for Nat, please.
Okay, Nat, our top question is all about the team. So it's about who are the best people. It's sort of 3-part. Who are the best people to be in the team, engaging in this platform, the hubs and the thought-provoking places, and why? And is it best for the team to stay static, or can the team change? So it's all about team.
Sure, great question. Okay, so in the formation of our team, the one thing that I would suggest is that the principal or the lead person in the school must always be on the team, because if you don't, and that was one of the strengths, being the principal, always being on the team, being across the work, allowed for me to be able to really keep a clear view of what was happening, looking at the vision, looking at when we need to pivot, what we need to do. So that's one thing that I would recommend highly, that in these experiences, you are always available and make yourself available to be on that team. We had in our team senior leaders, a representation from across the school. So senior leaders, for example, the deputy principal and an assistant principal was on the team. And so people have moved on and things. So then also in this team that we're heading into our next journey is an aspiring leader, a classroom teacher, so that we keep the team has to be tight and not too big, but representative of, in my opinion, your school community, so that you've got all those different lenses to give a different perspective when you're doing the work. So there's no point having the principal and the 2 deputies and then nobody saying, but how does this land in the classroom? So it's, in my opinion, good to have a lens representative across the school. And in terms of the static team, we always kept the core team going, but we did have people based on the work that we were doing in the areas that came in and out of the team as well. So it was almost like a core team and then a team on the outer edges as well. But that team, the core team, always remained the same. Yeah, would be my advice. Fantastic. Was that answering the question, I think? Static.
Yes, it was, but sorry, how many in that core team did you have?
I think it would need to be representative of your school community, but we had in the core team 4 to 5 people.
Thanks.
Yeah, 4 to 5 people. Yeah. Because there also comes times when you're off in different, thought leaderships and going interstate and things. Keeping that core team manageable in size. Yeah. But there were...
That's great. And There was someone else which has got a similar question, which was around in terms of those people connecting out. It was who drove those other connections. So in terms of your leaders connecting out, was it SVA or was it a principal's responsibility to drive these inter-school connections?
Well, I think the inter-school connections kind of naturally, at this point, you probably are wondering how they're going to form, but they naturally start forming around the work that you do. And when you're involved in these opportunities of sharing and collaborating, the networks start naturally just coming to fruition. And it's also that you'll start talking and somebody will say, oh, like, have you seen the work around TEFL out of South Australia that one other principal has been able to kind of get their head around, and so you'll talk about that back at your hub day, and so the links and the threads start forming naturally, but you've got to be proactive in that. I mean, if you're going off into thought leadership gatherings and you just remain with your team and don't look up or look about, the connection won't naturally form. So it'd be you being proactive around it, but SVA also facilitated some opportunities around you might like to connect with this person, or because they've got the big picture of the work working right across the system, and they naturally link you into connecting with people. But it's about you wanting and really moving towards making those connections as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Sophie, next group, drum roll.
4.
Group 4. All right. Do you remember if you were in group 4? If so, can we have a question from the spokesperson? And Soph, maybe you can help us
It was Grant, Joanne, Jody, Michael, and Nat.
Okay, that was our group. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I wonder, Nat, did you answer the questions as
Well,
they
I
were
didn't
generated?
know whether I was meant to. I was sitting there going, because I wasn't sure. So I do know what the questions were, if the team doesn't mind me, actually. I think I wrote them down. It was around how did you set up the team and get the core team? It's also, I think, about the communication. How did you update the whole school and keep the whole school in the loop? And what was involved in the engagement visit? So just quickly, I think the first question's kind of been answered around setting that team up and making sure that it's representative of your school community. How do you must keep the school updated around the work, and the strength of that would be tying it into your improvement plan or your plan, so that people can see where the social ventures connection work fits in naturally, not sitting outside of that. And a way of updating this is around when we engaged in an engagement visit or a thought leadership gathering or a hub day, we came back and at our next whole school staff meeting, we gave an overview of what had happened, some of the work that had taken place, some links that people might want to have a look at. If we'd heard somebody that we thought was a global leader or someone in another school, we gave them that information. So it's just keeping people informed, but making sure you do it in a regular way. So we always did it straight after we'd engaged in something, so we didn't forget and we didn't lose traction over it. And we put that out at the next meeting and just spoke to people in general terms around what happened at that. And the last one is quickly the engagement visits. You're involved. We always released every member of the team to be involved in the engagement visit, so that everybody could keep across the work and that everybody knew and had heard with their own ears what was happening and where we were going with it. So it's a great check-in point. Like I said to you before, you will do a bit of an eye roll, like, oh, here we go again, but it was really important to make the time to get the best out of that opportunity.
Nick, I also make a comment just around particularly thought leadership gatherings and those activities. It came through our evaluation and feedback that a number of schools, and Nat, you may want to verify this or not, often used the activities, particularly over a couple of years, to induct or test or provide opportunities for up and coming leaders and cultivating leadership for your less experienced staff, so giving them a taste. So your point around ins and outs, that can sometimes work if you've got some particular staff you want to target. The other piece is, I understand in some schools even, the thought leadership gathering opportunity became a bit of an incentive and almost a bit of a, a lottery. Everyone wanted to go, but only so many could go. And so providing it as an incentive, as a leadership development opportunity, I think was something that some schools and clusters of schools used as well.
Yep. Definitely agreed, Sue. It's a place that really can cultivate and really build those aspiring leaders and giving them opportunities, once again, to network and see outside of what's happening with their schools. So absolutely, that's what happened. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nat. And I'm afraid we're out of time. It feels like we could keep asking questions for a long time. But please just keep dropping in questions into the chat, and the team can respond to them. The most fun one in my group was, how do you get to go overseas? So I think we'll definitely have to pop an answer to that into the thing. Someone was talking about France, and I mentioned how we're doing stuff with Learning Planets in Paris right at the moment, just live.
Correct. Yep.
So it's
definitely
a fun opportunity when it arises and COVID allows it. So, but thank you so much, Nat. Can we give a round of applause, jazz hands? Thank you, Nat, even though you said no applause.
Thanks so much.
And we'll see you at the next opportunity to engage, Nat. I'm going to hand back to Erin now.
Thanks.
I've recently come across what I found was a really useful distinction.
Sorry, Nick, I was just, my slides decided to talk to me when I wasn't quite expecting it. Thank you. Just before, the final segment, I think, before we wrap up, and I do want to allow some time for sort of further questions and next steps, I'd just like to touch on kind of the culture and the atmosphere, I think, that we're trying to create within the network. And hopefully just from sort of the conversation so far and being engaged this morning, you're already beginning to get a sense of what we're trying to create here. And I think going back to what Sue said at the very start, we certainly don't pretend to come here with all the answers. I believe that the answers are sitting in the room, but I certainly don't think that they're sitting with the SVA staff. I think the answers sit within the network that we're cultivating. And I just wanted to start by sharing a video from Guy Claxton that was shared at one of our hub days last year. And I think particularly our South Australian colleagues might be very familiar with Guy's work. I know that you've used it a lot across the department. And this particular video is about the different modes that we're in when we approach an opportunity. And Guy Claxton, he's a British researcher around learning behaviours, and he is particularly talking about the behaviours of students. But I think Nick and I watched this video and we were like, yes, that describes what the connection's about. That's what we're trying to say. So he would say it much better than me. Probably not with quite as good a British accent, I have to say. I like my northern one much better. But I'm going to start by showing you this video, and I invite you to pop sort of any reflections, any questions in the chat. So I won't say too much more. One moment. Give me a thumbs up to let me know that you're hearing.
I've recently come across what I found was a really useful distinction. And it's a distinction between whether we're in learning mode or performance mode. Let me try and explain. When I go into settings on my television, I can change the quality of the sound, and there are some preset things I can choose. I can choose classical music or popular music or movies or documentaries. And inside the television, that changes a whole lot of different frequency settings, so the overall quality of the sound is different. Our minds are the same. We can flip between different general settings. And two of the most important ones, I think, are what you might call learning mode or performance mode. And which of those modes we're in makes a big difference to a variety of different aspects of the way we respond, particularly the way we respond to something that's new or strange or confusing or unpredictable. When we're in learning mode, our focus is on improving. We want to get better long term at things. When we're in performance mode, the focus is on trying to produce a flawless execution, trying to succeed to the best of our ability, or trying to impress to the extent that we can. When we're in learning mode, our attention is on information that would help us improve, that would help us learn better. When we're in performance mode, our attention might be on how am I going down? Am I impressing well? Am I succeeding? There's a big difference in the way we respond, the way we feel about mistakes. When I'm in learning mode, mistakes are inevitable. They're just part and parcel of the learning process. If I wasn't making mistakes, I wouldn't be learning. I'm trying new things out, things that I haven't nailed yet. So of course, they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be adequate. But when I'm in performance mode, when I'm on the stage playing my concerto or running around on the football field in the cup final, mistakes can be disastrous. They're things that I don't want to have happen. My attitude to feedback is going to be different. In learning mode, if you give me feedback which will help me improve, you're my coach or my friend, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. That's really useful information. But if someone shouts out in the middle of the performance, hey guy, you played a bum note there, then I'm not going to be that pleased. It's going to feel like I've been heckled, like someone's trying to put me down. Even my attitude to cheating might be different. If I'm in learning mode, cheating is completely pointless. Why would I? It's just sort of ripping myself off in a way if I cheat. But if I'm really stuck into performance mode, if the only thing that matters is to create the appearance of success, then it might seem like a rational option for me to download something from the internet and try and pass it off as if it were my own, if getting an A grade is the only thing that matters. So flipping between these two modes is really important. Both of them are useful.
Okay. Sorry, it came to a bit of an abrupt end there. But I think what I thought that clip did really well and is show that kind of hybrid. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve at The Connection. We're not all about performance mode, and that very much within this network, we are in a learning mode, and mistakes will happen. Certainly, I think the Connection team have been in learning mode through most of COVID and moving to an online environment. And I can see already that some people have kind of asked for that clip, and we'll definitely share that with you afterwards. So I'm just interested if anyone's happy to take a risk, turn themselves off mute. Maybe you've seen that before, and think about any reflections on what was said there in terms of whether you've used that with your staff, how you feel that reflects what you understood about being part of The Connection. Anyone want to be brave?
So I have a comment, and my comment is it's around finding the sweet spot, because we have to be in performance mode as leaders. Absolutely get that. And there's strong accountabilities that you have to be the public face of. But at the same time, you're cultivating this learning mode, and you're in a learning mode too. So as a leader, you have to be in both spaces, and you have to find that sweet spot. But you also have to provide the context and the culture for your staff to be in that space as well. So I guess my question would be, how are you creating the sweet spot for learning mode and performance mode in your current work? Is there a sweet spot, and how do you find it?
I'll say something that we were talking about just then, in that when you spend time in the learning mode, it sort of often helps the performance mode anyway, because we always want to improve and it makes, you know, your staff, for example, want to change, want to improve, and then as a result, hopefully you see improved performance. And where sometimes if we sit too much on the accountability side of things, we often make people fearful of change and improvement. Innovation stops and all those sort of things because we're just mandating the way it goes. But at the same time, we do need to have accountability. So I think that the more time you spend in a learning mode, the more performance we see anyway.
So do you think, John, it's a matter about how you do both and manage both and switch?
Yeah, like I think that, yeah, definitely. But I think that absolutely, like there's got to be accountability, got to be aware of where we're going to, what the goal is, all those sort of things. You know, on the prize, you know, student improvement is that. But if we're trying to encourage, you know, teachers to improve, change as a school, improve and change, then we've got to, you know, be there to support each other in that.
I also think that the connection between learning mode and performance mode is greatly based on the kind of space that you're in when you're doing the performance. So if you're in a space where you have if you're working with your staff, for example, and you're in a space where you have high trust, then the opportunity to be in learning mode while you're in performance mode is greater than if you were working with a group of people that you're not familiar with. So I think it depends a lot on that.
Yeah, that's a really great point. So it's creating the culture of trust, probably mutual respect, psychological safety, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And I think that's really pertinent, Carol, to this network, because we appreciate that at the moment you potentially only met each other just over an hour ago, and so you all know from the work in your schools that you know, culture of trust and psychological safety, or feeling like you're in a safe environment, doesn't happen in an hour over a Zoom call, and we know that as well. But I think the idea is sort of to put the stake in the ground that's the sort of culture that we want to create, and then build these opportunities together to create it, so that we can have those really rich sharing experiences that Nat was talking about. It's also a good segue, just very briefly, just refinding my slide, to share. We've spoken before about the evaluation that the Connection had done last year of the work to date, conducted by RMIT, and in the evaluation, they identified 4 key characteristics of an effective network that were present within the Connection that enabled it to function in the successful way that it had. And they were them. And that 4th one, that willingness to learn, share and exchange expertise by voluntary inclusion, I know Sue said that earlier, I just thought matched really well with what Guy Claxton was talking about there in the video. And then Carol, exactly what you were saying about that culture of trust, and that once we, you know, have a high trust environment, that learning is more likely to occur. So I wanted to kind of share that with you and set the context for where we're at, and hopefully where we're heading over the next 3 years. I'm going to pause there and probably just stop sharing my screen and go into gallery mode again. I'd like to invite, sort of for the last 5 minutes, does anyone have any kind of questions, anything really that's popped up through the course of the last 90 minutes that they'd either like to sort of comment, share, ask? You can either post in the chat, or if you're feeling brave, bring yourself off mute.
Okay, it's a logisticy thing. Yep. So I received a fistful of invitations in my Outlook, which I've accepted, declined, accepted, declined. If we could have a list of those dates in one email, because I'm trying to find where I've accepted, because I didn't pass on to the team. And so a list of of dates, expectations, and possibly venues. I thought it said I was going to Adelaide, but when I went back in and saw, I couldn't find one that said I was going to Adelaide. So yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, no problem at all, Michelle. So yeah, absolutely, we'll get a list out. And one of the feedbacks we'd had is kind of at least getting a placeholder in the Outlook calendar helps, and then a more formal invite with more information. But yeah, we can definitely share the high level.
Sorry.
So back on mute.
We are also expecting to get a message out to everybody in the next week or two. Is that right, Erin? Sorry, I haven't got to everybody with all of that summarised information as a package. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So that should be there for you. And the issue around, well, it's not an issue, but the challenge around venues is a little bit COVID related, although we're determined to not let COVID get in the way as much as possible, but on another level, being practical and realistic. So we'll definitely get those details to you as soon as possible. Yeah. Can I make a provocative statement? You'll get used to these. And I invite your honest feedback, because I'm not precious about this statement. If I said to you, if you think you're the smartest person in the room right now, you're in the wrong room, how does that make you feel? Can we do a fist of 5? 1, it doesn't make you feel very good at all. 5, that excites you because that means that there's opportunity to learn from others. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. I think we've selected well, or the directors in South Australia have selected well, because that's exactly the culture we need. We want to take you out of performance mode primarily in this mindset frame and put you into learning mode in these environments and these conversations. Because if you come into the room to a gathering, to a hub day, even to an engagement visit with having all of the answers, well, then we've got no value to bring to you. And so it's probably not a good use of your time or ours. So we want you to have a really open mind, noting that we respect you as professionals. We know you've done the hard yards. We know you're in complex communities doing amazing work, important work every single day, and you're learning something new every day. But what we want to do is provide you with, number 1, an affirmation that you're on the right track, but number 2, what you need to keep growing, moving, and having bigger and greater impact. So if your mind is open and you know you've got something to learn and something to give, I reckon that's a pretty good space to be in if you are going to get the most out of this opportunity. What do others think? I'm going to put some people on the spot, so I'm going to call you out. So Joanne, I do know you. What do you think, Joanne?
Absolutely, and it's that is actually lining up, I think, with I guess the conversations that we've been having, particularly with the other education directors around how do we actually use this program, use connections to leverage that impact. Our sites and have been chosen primarily because they're sites of promise. So those schools have already shown some improvement, and certainly our agenda as a system is to accelerate that improvement and accelerate the impact that leaders are having, particularly around as it relates to our literacy and numeracy work across the state.
That's awesome. Thank you. What do others think?
Yeah, just keen to get started really, and see how it all unfolds. So again, I don't know how this is going to entail. I don't know where it's going to go from here. Just, loved hearing past principals talk about their experience, and just excited about getting started and getting into this. But again, I don't have any assumptions or apprehensions at this point in time until we start getting into the program itself.
Thanks, Grant.
Can I suggest we might just quickly whiz around the screen and ask everyone to give a word or a sentence, depending on how they're feeling, around their biggest wish or their biggest hope for this engagement. Should we start?
Clarity.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next? Everyone's going to get a turn.
Collaboration.
Inspiration.
Stretch.
Love that.
Improvement.
Clear direction.
Out of my comfort zone a little.
Great. That means you're leading, right, Lisa? Sorry, Margaret, I missed that.
Opportunity.
Support the improvement narrative.
Collegiality.
Knowing a bit more about what we don't know.
That's a good one. The thing is, we don't know what we don't know until we, take the risk to know.
A collaboration amongst leaders and teams.
Did we get you, Adam or Carol?
I think Adam might be on the road.
He might be. All right, he might be. That's all right.
Somewhere about Keith, I'd say about now.
Right. Got it. No problem. Anna, did we hear from you? You're on mute, sorry.
Sorry, yes, I said stretch.
Stretch, yes, right, that's right, thank you. What about the SVA team? What do you want?
Do I have to stick to one word?
Nick, go for it.
Excited to have new inputs and new ideas to add to the gumbo of wonderful collaboration that happens between our schools. See, I'm no good at one word.
And Nick likes gumbo, by the way, if you know what that is. Others?
I'm looking to be inspired by all the great work that I learn is happening out in the school communities, and to be inspired by you all is what I'm hoping for.
And Jodie's it's really important to inspire Jodie, because she's going to write for us.
Exactly.
The magic stuff that we can share more broadly, which is going to be great.
That I'm going to be inspired, and you're going to make my job really easy.
Carol, I think, said she didn't have audio. Do you want to put yours in the chat, Carol? Soph.
I'm excited, to get insight into all the amazing things that all these schools are doing, and just to learn about it.
And Erin?
Oh, I think I should have gone before Soph. I was going to go with learning and growing. Yeah, I'm keen to develop my knowledge of your settings, and particularly learning about the particular challenges working in regional and rural settings.
For me, it's about, and I'm going to be like you, Nick, I'm going to have typically me, I will say more than one word. Deep practice. I get really excited when we get to learn about deep practice and what works, and that provides us with new insights. And the second piece for me, working in rural and regional communities is my heartland. So I'm pretty excited about going back into that space. So looking forward to learning with and from you, and hopefully adding value at the same time. Back to you, Erin.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sue, and thanks everyone. The connection team will stick around for a little bit if anybody does want to chat to us or ask further questions. You also have my email and the connection email. So please do reach out. Some of those slides that Sue talked to earlier, we will package some of those up, and we've got some other slides that just kind of go through the baseline activities. We've had some jazzy slides made since we talked to you before Christmas, which is very exciting. So we'll package some of those up and share them with the links from today and some different reading, and share those via email, because I know that some of you are still sort of working with your broader teams to explain to them what this engagement is, which is a little bit tricky to explain. So hopefully some of those slides might be useful to you. If you're in South Australia, with the exception of Mount Gambier, I'll see you next week. Very excited. If you're in New South Wales, let's lock in a time for a couple of weeks. So chase those schools down for a time, and we will connect soon. But have a good afternoon, and thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
If you want to stick around, you're welcome. I'm still here.
Thanks, Michelle. Margaret can't leave.
Hi,
You're welcome to leave. You are
Yeah.
welcome to stay. You don't have to leave. I was just like, oh, I feel like she's trying to leave.
No, I just want to, so Erin, I just was in that conversation I had with you, sorry, on the side, I've just been thinking, because like how it's going to best work for me at this particular site, because whilst we're not a huge school, we've sort of, we do have a leadership team that's complex with its own right, and the hardest thing about getting buy-in is when they're not involved in certain things, they don't kind of get the same clarity as I do. So I'm thinking about how I can best benefit from it, and just talking to a colleague on the side is maybe if there is a potential for us to focus on our own leadership and how we lead to improvement. Is that an angle we can certainly work on?
I can jump in if you like, just for a moment. It's certainly something we should talk to Adam about. Your staff. But I would imagine, Erin, there would be opportunity to align. What do you think? Yeah.
And just to sort of fill the others in, Paul was just typing in the chat kind of with the cluster model. Nat was talking about buy-in and the importance of having that team involved, and Paul was just kind of asking the question of, well, what does that look like when we're in the clusters, and how does he get the buy-in? And I think my straight answer to begin with was kind of, we probably haven't quite worked that out yet. But certainly I think from our perspective, if it aligns with what you're doing, and if there's capacity, and if Adam's involved, and there are opportunities to bring in other members of your leadership team, I think from an SVA point of view, we'd love that. But as I said, it's probably still quite new how we're working with the department, and a little bit different to some of the other models of working we've had before. So we're just stepping through it.
Yeah, that's fine. I just sort of, I'm really excited about the project and the opportunity to work with other leaders, even in those breakout rooms, seeing schools like in New South Wales that are so in context is sort of like, we tend to be a little bit in the rural context, so on our own, and having opportunities to work with